Welcome, 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 one and all. It's almost Christmas time. So, to all the fans coming in, season's greetings to you. Same to Moy. Suko, he's the blues. He's probably singing the blues now. His team not performing very well as of late. And to Jamal there, season's greetings to you. We know you're in the future. So, you're gonna have Christmas before us and things like that. That's all little joke here. Good night, fellas. What's up? I see
Good
more
night. Good
disappear.
night.
I think more just wanted to see the that
Oh,
picture.
there you
Oh,
go.
you went to his hat. Oh, here we go. We knew more was up to something. We knew more was up to something. So guys, it was let me see, truncated game week. We had one, two, three,
Yeah.
4 games.
Mhm.
4 games all weekend. 6 games of were postponed because of COVID. I mean, and let's start there because the Premier League clubs managers met today to talk about whether or not they think the games should continue.
Mhm.
I think it's fair to say majority of the teams have voted that the festive fixtures continue. And I don't know to what extent they're going to do so because we were talking and Jamal was saying that maybe behind closed doors. It could
Yeah.
be, I'm hearing, it could probably be with less fans. I don't know. So what are your thoughts on it? I know Sukwa, I won't start with you because
Mhm.
your team decided yesterday that they wanted their game to be postponed because I don't know who
Mhm.
died and made them special. But they're feeling the full team. What was your gripe yesterday? Why you wanted your game to be postponed?
W- Well, well, to be honest, right? I'm not sure why they wanted it to be postponed. Because I was up that, that they would go ahead and play. But then they were making a gripe about that there were just only 6 subs that they had available at the time. Um, I mean, I can see I can see the reason why, probably, or why they would have wanted it postponed. Um, but at the end of the day, I still think that Chelsea had a decent team out there that they could have gone out and still play. Right.
I
So
agree.
I didn't even know that they wanted to have it postponed. It was like leaks in the media coming out and say, well, probably they wanted it postponed and so on and so forth. But it was nothing concrete until when they actually came out with a report and said so.
Right,
So
right. Jamal, tell me because you're hearing one game is being postponed and another one is not being postponed. What is there a criteria? Yes, I've heard the Premier League say game by game basis, but surely you need something concrete so that there's not for the lack of a better term, a wishy-washy approach
Well,
to whether or not your game will be postponed.
yeah, well, as we can see it with a lot of the other teams, it's very much a gray area, and there's no line
mhm,
drawn or anything set in stone at the moment as to how to get your game postponed. I mean, going back to the Arsenal game that we couldn't get postponed because we had a COVID outbreak, to Chelsea apparently having a COVID outbreak, and then Tottenham having a COVID outbreak, and you see how it's
mhm,
dealt with differently by the Premier League.
Right.
Um, so I am not sure who's making up the rules as they go along, but that seems to be the nature of sports this year, and where you know people just seem to decide on a whim on what happens, and it's a bit detrimental to every team, you could say, because some teams play, some teams don't. Um, and you can even look at it as look at Leeds the other day, no COVID, but they could only field 9 players. So why teams that have the squad to put players on the field
Yeah, right.
to stop COVID, why are they postponing games? So it's very much a gray area in the sense that there's no line drawn to say if you have X amount of COVID cases, you cannot play a game, or if you have X amount of injuries, you can't play a game.
We should therefore, I guess, we should therefore look for these teams to utilize their squads. I mean, I can't think of it in any other way but to say gear up and let's go because you have a squad of 30.
mhm,
Why not? I'm pretty sure 20 persons doesn't have COVID in the team, and if it does, then I guess that is a good yardstick barometer, so we can say, you know what? Hey, let's postpone this game because hey, look, they're stretched too thin right now. They can only probably feel an 11. And then it comes down now to whether or not you are protecting the integrity of the Premier League, whether or not they can. There's fairness in the Premier League if you allow these teams to play with a depleted squad. Is it fair, Moy? Let me come to you. Is it fair for some teams to go ahead with their games and other teams not go ahead with their games?
Wait, before Maury cuts in there, 1 second.
Yeah.
Um, I do feel that later down the line, you could have a a situation where teams abuse it in the sense that if we don't have enough players, we want our game called off. It's typical Chelsea, right? Typical
But
example,
it's COVID, isn't it?
right? You could say we don't have enough players, we want the game called off, and that, like you said, will harm the integrity of the Premier League.
It definitely will. So I mean, Moy, you can answer this, but then also answer. Go ahead. Answer the question. Is it fair? Is it fair?
But, but before I answer that exactly, wouldn't it seem kind of unfair to like these smaller clubs to these to bigger club ranking that you would say bigger clubs have more depth rather than these smaller clubs that don't have such depth? But I was thinking also that the cutoff to like get a game cancelled, you would have to start feeling more majority of youth players in the team. Because that's what I think what it is, if majority of the youth players have to make up the team. And I think it's probably a reason to try and make a case for the game to be cancelled. Because realistically, we use youth players, but those are not what we are accustomed to seeing. So I think that probably would kind of deem as a cutoff point right there for me, especially.
I hear you. I hear you. And for me, just Jamal mentioned it earlier. We Arsenal had an outbreak earlier, and I guess because the whole country there wasn't an outbreak in the country, why it didn't seem like our request was even heard
Yeah.
properly because there's not an outbreak in the country. And to Jamal's point there, I feel like there has to be more transparency. I don't know if the club sends directly the players' names to the Premier League, but surely we can't just allow the teams to, by themselves independently, to say, oh, we have 10 persons with COVID. And then the league is now to assume that all these 10 people are players. It could be most backroom staff. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Yeah,
boy.
no, I don't think it's like that. I think the Premier League actually has representatives there at the club that go through the testing. You could say that the testing results, and that's why I think they're not allowed to disclose. Because I mean,
Oh,
you could tell the Premier League, and then something gets leaked. So I think that's why you haven't heard X player has COVID or X player doesn't have COVID unless they've come out and
I'm
said it.
fine with that. I'm fine with not knowing. I just want to make sure is the players do have COVID and the clubs are not just saying right, a number and we are interpreting it as players.
Yeah, but then also what's been happening is that not actually the players have been getting, but training staff. So players at the not players, coaches at the training facility or staff at the training facility have contracted COVID, which would
Yeah.
then deem players at the training facility as close contacts. So then they would have to go to isolate. So I think
Right.
that would
And so
uh,
naturally.
'Cause
Right, go
I
ahead,
was
Mo.
saying, I think the time period, especially during the Christmas time, that the Premier League is going to be very hard and it's going to be very difficult to try to get cancellation on some of these games because that's the very busy season, busy period at the time of the season. Because the Christmas period everybody just look forward to it because the Premier League is known for that. I think probably if it was maybe if we everybody hit New Year's already and past that stage, we could probably seen maybe a cancellation here there. And
Mhm.
because it's Christmas season, I think it's just not up for question.
Last point, I hear you, Moy. Last point on this because I heard Gary Neville saying in response to you, Moy, where it could possibly be a cancellation. Let's say
Mm.
you stop the league for 2 weeks. How do you know that in the next 2 weeks you won't have an outbreak again? And then you need to stop it again after another 2 weeks. So For me, I'm a bit biased. I just want football to be played. I want you want to watch football, and my team have a little bit of momentum there, so they need to keep playing. I just bang people. So I just want to see
Yeah.
football. Good night. Munchie say he's here, and we're gonna jump straight into our Premier League talk. And we're gonna ask you guys, Tuka, we're gonna start with you. What was your goal of the weekend? If the yeah, well, yeah, there was a goal of the weekend in my mind.
Mm, whilst I was able to see all the games, I have to, Shakim, I have to come back to me.
Let
Let me
me.
just let me.
Well, I think the panel is going to agree,
Mhm.
Sukwa, that is definitely Cancelo.
Oh
Yes.
yes, yes,
Yep.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think we gonna debate that one at all,
yes,
boy.
yes,
I mean, if I get real picky, I think that the defenders should try and close down the man. Like seriously, they might see the man that
yeah.
came up and they just stood there.
Well,
But
I mean,
that was a
all
good
of them
goal.
should. He beat two players and then hit the ball between two other players. That's four
Right.
defenders you beat there to score a goal. The first one should have tackled him.
And he
Really.
slipped. He said, "Man, not like a feint," and he's slipping. He done so that was our goal for the weekend. We can't we're not debating that at all.
Ruben,
Maybe
Ruben
where
Diaz
we
has a
could have
contention too.
who that?
Ruben Diaz goal is up for contention.
Yo, that's what no, no seriously no. When we go to that game in the morning, this is exactly why Newcastle is in the position they are,
There's no
Mm.
Nobody
communication.
decided they want to clear the ball. Oh no, you do it. No, 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 you do it. No, you do it. And then no remember they say, you know what? Bill do it. I put the ball in the goal. I'm pretty sure. So our player let me see. Let me see. Monchi is saying here, if they would have tried close down, he would have went on his left and the same outcome. Okay, Monchi. Okay. All right. So, guys, our player of the weekend, and this is not biased, but I'm giving it to Martinelli.
I would still say Cancelo
Okay,
to an
Cancelo.
extent. Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to toss it to Martinelli this week.
No, no, no. But I like
Yo,
what that's done. Jamal
okay,
is
okay,
going
okay,
to
okay,
have
okay.
like a sympathy.
There's a little reasoning. I know I
Go
always say
ahead.
that, give props where props is due, especially when it's a big team, because it's highly unlikely. Um, I just think quick Martinelli coming in back into the team, and I I think the Leeds game versus Arsenal would be harder than the City versus Newcastle. Yeah, I'm going with Martinelli. I'm giving it to him.
All right. Jamal.
Yes, Martinelli for me as well.
All right, I love it. I love it. Sukwa, I know why. I know why you're salty because you look going over your
I'm not.
shoulder and you
I'm.
see and you
I'm
see the gun is coming.
yeah, I'm not salty. I'm just saying Cancelo for me is the player of the
Ah,
of the
of
weekend
the weekend. No problem, sir. No
because
problem. I hear you.
and I'll tell you it's 50-50. It could easily be Martinelli too.
All right.
He took his two
Okay.
goals very well. So
I think so too.
yeah.
I think so too. Okay. He said Manchester, of course, has cancelled his player of the weekend, and he continued. Partner, as 7 leads got their last game now. Yes, and we know you would remember that because the City knocked them 7. Let's jump now to guys the team of the weekend in terms of which club stood out to you most this weekend. Jamal, we won't start with you this time.
City for me. They stood out more. I know they played Newcastle, but
Hmm.
I
Mm.
do think that they stood out this weekend.
Okay.
It's kind of
More,
hard
you
shot
agree?
because you have
Okay,
both
go ahead,
Leeds
Cooper.
and you have both Leeds and Newcastle horribly out of form right now. So and then you have two teams that I mean you have Arsenal that's almost in the top four, and then you have Man City who are the league
That
leaders.
one almost in the top.
Yeah. Anyway. But anyways, yeah, top four. Okay, so top four, and so you have the two top clubs in there, and then you have two teams that are really struggling
At the
badly.
bottom.
So
All right.
it's really hard to say. There was an stand up. I mean, the two of them. I mean, you expected them to score
All
the
right.
number of goals at least. So it's
More, you agree with City?
Yeah, I agree with City. I just think that with Arsenal not getting that clean sheet, they
Possibly.
that probably ruled them out for the team from over the weekend.
What I would say though, I mean, Chelsea wasn't as depleted as the media and Chelsea is trying to make it. I thought Wolves were pretty good. I think they were even the better team in that game. I
That's
would give it
understandable.
to Wolves, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, I will give it to Wolves. Now, guys, let's get into breaking down these games. We had like we said earlier, we had a short weekend, so we only have like 4 games to talk about. Newcastle, Man City. Moy, let me come to you because we were discussing it in our group, in our WhatsApp group. Moy, that has to be a penalty, Moy. That has to be a penalty.
I
You
worry.
laugh.
Because I just remember the explanation I gave in the group.
You were trolling.
Yeah. I was trolling. So
Oh, oh
for
yeah,
those who wanted to
surely.
know the explanation, I was backing up City saying that how Cancelo already went with the ball and already turned to go, and then Edison was easing up, and then it was Ryan Fraser. Ryan Fraser ran into Edison.
Yeah.
So that was my excuse why it should be a penalty. But yeah, I see why it could be called a penalty, but I don't know why he didn't really take a good look at, because it's similar to anything on the field, like an elbow being thrown off the ball or whatnot, or some tackle like that being thrown off the ball. Because I think it was what? It was an Arsenal game at time where it was like, it was Lacazette
Probably.
kick the ball out and then the keeper end up and clatter him. It was
Oh,
something like that.
both yeah. Arsenal versus Tottenham. It
Yeah,
was Jonathan Sanchez, I think, who fouled him. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of similar to that situation, but it's unfortunate. I ain't complaining.
All right. Let me ask you. Because you won 4-0. You scored 11 goals in your past 2 games. I've heard the stat as long as for the past maybe 3 years or so. Whenever you go into Christmas leading the table or leading the league, I should say, you've always won the league. Is this a wrap?
Yeah, I'm backing myself to win this championship, especially if we can continue with how the squad is, and especially not getting any injuries, avoiding COVID. Because I think City, I mean,
COVID
it's
is a
only
real.
Kyle Walker. Only Kyle Walker is struggling with injuries at the moment. Everyone else is fully fit, so I'm backing City as long as no problems is there.
More
Jamal,
your whole 11 can get COVID, and your second 11 will still come off the bench and still win. That's how big that team is, right? So I'm going to give him
Jamal,
opinion on that.
you're one of the what should I say? Um, you're one of the oh my goodness. Okay, you know what? You are good and you usually give a good analysis when it comes to City. Same question I asked Moy. Is it a wrap for City winning the league?
I can't say it's a given as yet.
Okay.
The reason why, and Moy listed a bunch of reasons that they need to stay fit and COVID and all of this, but understandably, COVID to a couple key players, and
Yeah.
they're forced to play games, and then Chelsea stay completely free of COVID, Liverpool stay completely free of COVID, then it's a straight run for them, right? So at this point, I can't say anything is given. You'd have to look at it maybe at the end of January, and if they lead by a substantial amount, then you can say, okay, it's given. But they're
Okay.
highly favorites to win it at the moment. You could say that,
It is
bar
all
exactly, bar nothing bad happening in their favor or in their detriment.
right. More my final question to you on City. I'm gonna ask everybody this when we get to your club. January is coming up, like a week or so, a week and a half or 2 weeks or so, away from January transfer window. Any realistic move you would like to see your team make?
Um, Not really. I know there's always these big names surrounding City, as especially the striking option. And I heard a comment that's saying bringing in a striker, especially if it managed to land like a hurricane in January, it could cause a very big disruption in the team according to how things are being run and whatever, and throw off everything. But I think no signings January, maybe a backup. I mean, ah, I don't know. Probably a left back instead of, because it's just Zinchenko, really, Zinchenko, Cancelo, and maybe either Cancelo and Walker. So it's basically Cancelo on both sides. So a left back as always for City.
All right. Okay. Jamal, you remember what message Munchie talking about?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
when I told
Oh,
them that if they
yep.
don't win if they don't win the FA Cup, they're not winning
Oh,
the
that
Premier
one.
League this season.
Yeah, that was a famous message. I remember that one. Blahovic to City. I think he's equaled um Cristiano Ronaldo's Serie A record, goal scoring record in a calendar year. So he's bagging goals. I don't
On
know how I feel about him yet because I'm hearing links to him to Arsenal too.
I I don't know. I saw a stat against the teams that he scored, and it was all against bottom half and relegation teams. So I would just say it's stat padding, but he's still has to prove
I,
himself.
I saw your tweet. I did see you tweet something like that. That is true.
yeah.
I did see you tweet something like that.
Get
Sukwa,
them
we
done
coming to
against the
you.
little team.
Wait a moment.
No, I say just get them done against the little team. Guaranteed you 3 points.
There we go. Even Torreira scored yesterday in Syria. Suka, we coming to you because again, I think this may be like the third game in a row. Your team is
Mm-hmm.
pretty underwhelming right now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about
Um.
the European champion.
Well, I think once we can get back our players, I don't think in January they'll be looking at any signings. So I think that's out the way. Once the players can come back in who are missing, I don't know how long it'll potentially take Chilwell to get back fit. But I'm more concerned right now. I'm really concerned about Lukaku and Werner. If I can get the strikers back, um, the mere fact that you have Kante and Kovacic coming back in, although they were not fully fit, they were kind of rushed back into the team because I guess they didn't have many players to select on the weekend. I think for us moving back into the right direction, we have to continue playing to our strengths, which is building from the back going forward. So now that these holding midfielders are back, we can control the game, which we lacked in the last 3 games, albeit a draw against Wolves, right? Um, I think the stability can come back once we have that, and we are conceding less goals now because we conceded a ton load for the last couple of games. Um, and then I think from there we can build going forward. Hopefully by that time, we can have Lukaku back fit. Because we're lacking goals up top. Pulisic is not a goal scorer, as per se.
Sukwa, in your defense, you've always maintained that you thought the City had the best team to win the league.
Hmm.
But are you feeling a bit worried that you are falling away from the top two right now?
Yeah, it is. It is. Because of course, the last 4 games. I mean, we just won 1 out of 4. So that has put a bit of
It's
space,
four. Mm-hmm.
right? Bit of a lead that they've built. Because before we even can think of City, we have to think of catching Liverpool first. Um, of course, I guess we'll come to a part when we discuss the game on the weekend itself. But um, if potentially, of course, we had won our game against Wolves, then we would a bit, because I mean the Tottenham game, as we saw, was a very close
Mhm.
game for them, and had they put away the chances, probably that's an L for them. So these are the minor margins that you look at, right, between 3 points and a draw.
All right. Munchie is questioning whether or not bringing back Lukaku is really a plus.
Well, I mean, you can see, of course, up front, Chelsea are lacking the goals right now, so we actually need a proper strike up front, and then because of the injuries, and then I think Lukaku had COVID. I believe he was one of the players
Oh, okay.
that's out. That was
Mm.
why now you see the last game when I saw Tuchel put out a lineup, I didn't know that was the reasons why, because Werner was still not fit, and then there were there were reports that Lukaku was one of those players who were in isolation. So
Okay.
that's it.
All right.
So yep,
Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. The Premier League
yeah,
is a long season, right? You know,
all right,
there's time, still time for you to drop more
yeah,
points. and still time for me to catch that third spot.
And there's still
And
time
that's
enough for us to catch some points
the
too as well.
perfect segue. Jamal, let's talk about them Gunners. Let's talk about them Gunners. So now, Jamal, on the weekend, 4-1, we won 4-1 up at Leeds. I'm really disappointed that we conceded that goal. But what were your thoughts in the game? Who stood out for you, and what's the ceiling?
Well, Martinelli was the player that stood out, but you can give the plaudits all around the field. Tomiyasu stood out really well. It's a shame that he picked up that injury in the end. Odegaard played well till he had to come off. I mean, Smith Rowe coming on and did he score again?
Yeah, he scored a fourth.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when he came on, and then Saka scoring again. So the young gunners are coming through, shining through, showing that there is life in this team. Although our captain is doing some madness somewhere else. so, so it is showing that the team can go places, and like you said, the ceiling. I do think that it is reachable for us, third, but at the expense of Chelsea. But we need to keep beating these teams that are sixth to 20th. We can't like in the beginning when we lost to Brentford. We can't lose this. Let's say the return leg to Brentford, because that would send us on a downward spiral. I know there is a bit of a problem with us competing with Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City at the moment. But we can go toe to toe with the other teams, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be expecting to come out with 3 points every time we come up against them, especially at home. On the road, it's a bit more tricky. You take the point, and maybe nick a win and get the 3 points at the end. But back to the weekend, it was a really good performance by everybody. Lacazette played out his skin. Um, Martinelli played very well as well. Great man management from Arteta, and I do think that we're on an upwards trend at the moment. We just need to keep the games coming and not have a pause, because when we have that pause, I think it's back to square one for us. It'll be tough to keep the players motivated and all that sort of stuff. But great for Martinelli to make it into the squad and keep his spot ahead of Smith Rowe. And I know it's been years when we've been saying, look, we have nothing coming off the bench. I mean, but look at it now. Smith Rowe can come off the bench and grab a goal. And these are the players you need to come off the bench to change games. You have Pepe that can come on, but when he came on like 2 weeks ago, attitude wasn't right. You could tell
Yeah.
there's something
Yep.
up in there, and I do fear that he's going to be shipped out at the first chance we get. But there's other deadwood in the squad we need to get rid of first. But it's been a great showing yesterday.
All
Yeah,
right. Let me ask you this. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said it 2 days ago, not yesterday.
Right, right. So let me ask you this though, because yes, you said credit to everybody. Great man management. The inclusion of Granit Xhaka came straight back into the team versus Everton. We lost that game, but I mean, I don't even think he played that badly in that game. But West Ham, Leeds, Xhaka's been really, really good in that team.
Well, you see, here's where the problem is, and it's a bit of a catch-22, I feel, for Arteta, in the sense that the team is built around Shaka's play. So, when the left back goes forward to add an extra dimension to midfield or the attack, that pushes the whole front three into like a front two, and then you
Right.
have a left winger. So, and then Shaka drops into that position. That it could be a problem and a blessing for Arteta. If Shaka plays well, it's a blessing. If he doesn't, then it's a problem. So I do think that's where it comes into be a catch-22, in which you play him as much as you can, but when he's going bad, and you have to recharge his batteries at that point. Sometimes you see him fall out with the crowd or get a red card and come back and then show us what he's made of, and then 6-7 games down the line, he's back to his old Shaka again. So I do think keeping him in the right mindset to say, this is the way you play. Don't do anything stupid, and we could go places.
I mean, Jamal, to that point, we could have been sitting here talking about, yes, we could have won the games to 4-1, but we could have been sitting here talking about a Shaka red card because I mean I think Shaka could have seen red there.
I did not see that challenge, to be honest. I didn't see. Yeah.
Watch that, check that out because I mean it was nothing. It was similar to one of our players too had one of the Leeds players did the same thing to our player too, and was similar to what Robertson did. Not Robertson, Kane. Kane on Robertson. But Joe, you came in at the right time. Just quickly your thoughts on the Arsenal game, the Arsenal win on the weekend. I see your name, Young Gunners blazing. Talk to us about them Young Gunners.
I mean, I mean, the kids are balling. You know, there really isn't that much to say. The kids are balling, but I'm gonna tell you all about Gabriel Henry. Yeah,
No, Joe, stop it. The last time you told me, no, and a number on Sanchez, and
yeah, I know that.
Martinelli, and
I know.
Martinelli left it.
No, but
Left it.
here's my thing. What I like with Martinelli, right? I like the fact that fans have been calling for him to play for quite a while, right? And Arteta has been telling us he's not ready, he's not ready, he's not ready. But I like the fact that he's just sat, waited for his time, and this boy is eating his opportunities right now. Like really and truly, I'm very happy to see that because that's what 4 goals.
4 goals.
Newcastle, one against Newcastle, one against West Ham, and then 2 in that last game. And he also has 2 assists. This man, like I was looking at a tweet, I retweeted something the other day where somebody said, at this point, Aubameyang's biggest problem may not be Arteta, it may be Martinelli.
Martinelli, I saw
And,
that.
and that's spot on. And then not just that, to see Smith Rowe being left out for the past 2 games, him being our top goal scorer, and for him to still come in, just to show you how well the team is coached right now, right? Smith Rowe has come on the field 2 games in a row, and it's as if he's been playing the entire 90 minutes. He just comes and just fits right in, and the play just continues as normal. 2 games, 2 goals off the bench. It's really good to see. I mean, people will talk about the whole Leeds not having these players fit and whatnot. But we played Everton in one of their worst periods and we lost. So I'm taking this 3 points. A win is a win.
Of course. Joe, my question to you, I asked Jamal the same thing. Ceiling. What could happen here? We in for it, of course. There have some other teams with games in hand, but of course we prefer points on the board than games in hand. What's the ceiling like now, Joe? Because Chelsea's right there.
To be honest, I'm gonna be realistically, my expectation is still between 4th to 6th. Honestly, I'm still not jumping up saying, hey, top 4, because at the end of the day, realistically, there are still minimum 4 squads that are ahead of us. That's Man United, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. It's just a matter of if Man United will catch themselves and a matter of if Chelsea will get out of the slump they're in, which it is expected when their players come back, Lukaku, Timo Werner. Because, for example, I tell people all the time, as much as Werner doesn't score as many goals as he should, his runs are brilliant and he creates space for other players. So I still think he's a vital part to that team. So for me, it's still between, I think if we can maintain this, we can hold on to the top 4 because I prefer to play the games and get the points on the table than to have all the games in hand. And then you have this congestion of fixtures because then I've already gotten the points. There's not a guarantee you will get yours. Who knows? They might play and then, and then not just that too, getting down closer to the end of the table now when you're playing those teams that are fighting in that relegation.
For relegation.
Yeah, they will take points off of some of the big teams, So I still say between top 4 and top 6, but minimum top 6. If we do not make minimum top 6 this season, I consider the season a failure.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Jamal, I think I don't remember if I asked you this. Go
Question.
ahead. Go ahead.
Question. Two things. The Xhaka thing, while it could have been a red card, my thing with that is the thing that I think saved the Xhaka, especially when VAR watched it over. All it was a rash move. He got all ball, and I think that's what saved him. Because honestly speaking, that could have been a red card, right? And
Right.
like Jamal said, this is the thing with Xhaka. You just never know what you're going to get. My thing is, you're leading, bro. What are you
That's
doing?
cool.
And even in that
That's
same
cool.
game, Xhaka got a yellow card for wasting time. Bro, why are you wasting time? That's an
That
unnecessary yellow card.
you run up.
That's an unnecessary yellow card. And then my next thing is Ben White. Ben White needs to get this rash decision making out of him because it's not the first time he's done it. For example, the game against Liverpool, had Ben White just stayed in position and jockeyed Jota, he could have probably stopped the goal. The game against Manchester United, had he stayed on his feet instead of sliding, he could have stopped Cristiano from shooting. And then this game, the guy was going out. He would have to either force an almost impossible shot at the near post or try to square the ball across the goal. Gabriel was there. So why are you sliding like that? So those are the little things that I think we need to work on.
Right. And that thing, I think he should have just trusted Ramsey to make the save. Even if you're not there, just trust Ramsey to make the save. Jamal, quickly to you. I didn't ask you. Any realistic additions in January? Joe, I'm gonna ask you the same question. So think about it while Jamal answers. Any realistic signings in January?
I still think we could do with another midfielder, but like a ball carrier midfielder. I don't think these Shaka and Partey are ball carrying enough at times, and they're gonna be gone in when is it? January, February, right? Not
January.
that, but Partey is gonna be gone. Partey and Aubameyang. So I do think that maybe another ball carrying midfielder. Awar I still like him as a player to come in. Um,
Sure.
but I'm not sure there's anyone available that we can afford to come in and say they've made the squad better at the moment. I would say if you can get any small backup options, that would be good, but nothing permanent. Loan them till the end of the season, and then make a decision at the end of the season. So
All right.
I actually don't have any names that I can
Okay.
put forward.
Quickly, just quickly before Joe answers here. What struck me on the weekend was when Tommy had to come off and Cedric came on. I don't want Tommy has to miss any games. Not that from that performance he saw Cedric. Really can't afford Tommy has to miss any games. Go ahead, Joe.
Yo, you hit the nail right on the head, right? Because that was actually what I was about to talk about. When Tomiyasu went down and we brought in Cedric, it was a complete downgrade. Like you could see it. The play on the right hand side changed dramatically because number one, Cedric is nowhere close to as defensively capable as Tomiyasu is. He has the pace, he goes forward, but even with that, I still think Tomiyasu going forward, while Cedric may be quicker, I think Tomiyasu has better decision making. But at the same time, too, we did see Cedric have a good spell under Arteta. So it could be the fact that he's just been out for so long. So
Okay.
so we never know. You never know.
You
So
cut me some slack.
yeah, I'll cut him some slack, to be honest, because you never know. At the end of the day, we still got the 3 points. For me, in terms of additions, I agree with Jamal with Awa. Bro, I still rate that guy. Because here's my thing too. It's somebody you can bring in to play that role like Party or so on, but it's somebody that you can also utilize in the case, let's say an Odegaard was to get injured, right? Or a Smith was to get, because you want to deploy Smith on the left. So you could then put Odegaard or upwards, right, to play that number 10, and then you can bring in a Sambi off the bench to play along Xhaka or whoever's in the midfield, if you understand what I'm saying. So always a good
Right.
show. I still like that kid, Renato Sanchez. However, I do think that he would he would have like a honeymoon phase where he would take some time to, but maybe not
Get
based on the
it.
fact that he's been to the Premier League before, and I think he's in decent form right now. But in terms of names for real, I don't think there's anything, no
Nothing
big
standing
names
out
out there
right
I
now.
can think about off the top of my head. I mean, a striker is still needed because at the end of the day, right? What I don't want us to do while the young guns are firing, at the end of the day, I do not want us to become overly dependent on them because what we need to remember is that while yeah we're in flying farm, we had that 10-game run and we lost those games and now we won 3 games in a row. It's a young team, so we're going to have small
Okay.
moments where there'll be mishaps, mistakes will be made, and so on. So for me, if you're bringing in anybody right now, it needs to be somebody that's already seasoned and matured in the game of football, not
Right.
somebody who's going to have to come in and then have to, you know, adapt to the Premier League and then learn this and learn that. Somebody who can come in and is basically a ready-made option. And to be honest, there's not many of them out there right now. And even if they are, they're going to come at a ridiculously high price because it's the January transfer window.
Right. All right. Let's touch on the Tottenham Liverpool game and Sukwa. I know we were talking over the weekend, and you were saying that Harry Kane get him because he's the England captain. Talk to
Yeah.
us about how you thought the game went and your grievances with the officiating.
hmm Um, listen, Spurs under Conte. You see those couple of games that they have in hand. You have to look at that very carefully because that
We
man.
don't look for none. This
Listen,
Spurs.
listen, listen, listen,
What
listen.
did you say today?
It's not Spurs. This is Conte, right? This man has these
Uh-huh.
guys playing really. Look, it is just because Deli Ali is out of form.
Yeah.
He's only starting to come back now. These guys
Mhm.
should have been up 3 now. If you watch, I watched the game from
You're right.
the first minute right to the 90th minute. That game
You're
should have
right.
been done by halftime, right?
Facts.
The younger guys that Liverpool brought in, like I can't remember the
Martin.
guy's names. Yeah,
Martin.
these guys are yeah they the green about the ears, so they wouldn't be able to hold guys like Son and then that. But in saying so, okay, Spurs go ahead, they score, and then Hurricane makes that tackle on Robertson afterwards, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a red all day.
Facts.
That's a red. That's a red for me. I mean, I've
How
seen I've seen tackles like that all the time being given
you're not the red.
90% of a card. That is a red card. And
Mm-hmm.
what I
Harry
found
Kane
very
came out
strange,
after and
they
said,
never they didn't review it with VAR, did they?
Harry Kane came out and said that he got all bad.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yo, I saw that. No, I
Yeah,
saw that.
into the
No.
interview.
They
Yeah.
asked him if he thought he should have gotten in red, and he said, "No, no, no, no. I got all ball, 100%, 100%." I said, "What?"
Now, Shaq in the same breath, right? Okay, Robertson went. Okay, yeah, he went for the ball. He took the player completely. I mean, I can see the red card. That I'm not against that. Okay, it's a red, but Harry Kane should have been a red. They should have both ended
Facts.
with 10 men each. But at the end of the
No,
game, at the end of the day, it was a very, very, very good game. Very good
it
game.
was a good game. I really only
Yeah.
watched the second half, but what I can say, and I'll just touch on this, and we can continue talking about the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
What can we really do about these officiating? Because yes, we brought in help. They want help. They say the game too fast for them. They can't see everything. We understand that as fans. You now have VAR. I don't know how else they can use VAR because all you have to do is just look.
That's
Majority of the fans, I mean, and this is what Jurgen Klopp said. Klopp came out, he said, especially because they should have had a penalty, he said that the referee told him Jota slowed down intentionally
Yeah, to invite
to
the
play for
challenge.
the
get the
play for the
contact,
foul.
so that's why he didn't call the penalty.
Yeah.
But Klopp is saying, if you just play the game, but nobody takes the shot running at full pace.
Mm-hmm.
True.
What can
Yeah.
do we need
Now,
referees,
now, Shaq,
ex-players to be
I
referees?
But here's
Looking
the
at it,
thing.
right, I think that should have been two penalties. It should have been one for Jota, and I think Dele Alli equally should have had a penalty as well.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Dele
no,
Alli,
agreed,
Dele
man.
The
Alli
That's
Delhi
stalled
Ali
in the
one,
penalty.
box.
who
Yeah,
with Trent
Yeah.
in the second
Exact
half.
one.
Yeah, Trenton was already in his back and so. I mean, even if it
Okay.
saw his hand was already, you kind of see the little extension in Delhi Ali's back.
yeah,
Okay.
true.
I thought
No,
that was
the
a good
thing is,
call.
no, is the thing with these things what I don't understand. I, everybody's human, right? We make mistakes.
Hmm.
But my thing is, when you have the opportunity where you
Use it
can then replay it, you can put it
exactly,
to whatever
Slow it
speed
down.
you want.
exactly.
You
Telling
can
you,
look at
bro.
it from different angles.
Hmm.
How do you still get that wrong? That's why that's my thing. That's why I don't
Hmm.
understand. I can understand in some, sometimes you have some of them that even when they show it to us from one
Yeah.
angle, it looks like a
Yeah.
penalty. From the other
Mhm.
angle, it doesn't look
Yeah.
like one. So decisions like those, you can say go up in the air. You either give, some will give it, some won't. But when it's clear as day, every angle shows that hey, that's a penalty, yo, that's a red card, that's a handball, and then you don't give it, even with the use of the technology. At this point, you might as well eradicate the technology and go back to the old school style of
Yeah.
refereeing because it just
So,
doesn't make sense. And then the worst part is when you're watching football on any given day, and then there are similar situations in multiple games, and there are different decisions for all of them.
yep.
If you check it out,
One
there's
weekend,
different
yeah.
decisions for all of them, which I just don't understand it. Like VAR, for me, I think VAR is great. I keep telling
Hmm.
people
The
the problem
Yep.
is
technology. Mhm.
Yep.
not the technology, the problems are the human beings that they
The
have
people using
dealing with it.
technology.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, and there was a I was watching ESPN FC earlier, and one of them made the point that it's not VAR the issue, it's just the individuals that are on the VAR officiating for that
Hmm.
particular game. You know,
Mhm.
and sometimes I wonder if it's like they don't want to make the on-field referee look bad because some of these things you'd
The
be like,
part.
okay, that's obvious, it should be a red. So me overruling this call is going to make him seem a type of way. Like, but if it's that's the
But,
case,
but
come on, it has to be fixed.
But you
but
really think that's why?
But
to
that's
that
what,
more, I do think that all they have to do is say, yo, bro, go and look at it.
That's it.
Just
yeah,
go and look. You go and look for yourself. That's what I think.
No, but
Let's bring in
That's
Monty.
the thing. Even when they go and look, they still make the wrong call, and that's what baffles me. When you
Very
make a
true.
decision, right?
Very true.
For example, you make a decision and you say, "Yo, penalty," right? VAR
Hmm.
Right.
tells you, "Hey, go have a look at it." Right there and then, they're telling you to have a look at it because what? Because they're not really in agreement with your decision, but they
Hmm.
don't want to just take the say away from you. So they say, "Yo, go to the side and watch it and see." But I feel like it's just a case where some of these referees just refuse to admit, "Hey, I was wrong."
Hmm.
Right.
Like
I mean,
at
like
this point, that's what I think.
you said, it's humans, and there's some semblance of pride in their decision making. You know, when they go and they say, yo, me can't, yo, I'm really messed up. They don't want to
Yeah.
overturn it. I
Hmm.
do think so. Munchie, let me ask you this. This is a crucial question. And I know you like us to mention your name, so let me do it. At the top is just us, and you're referring to Manchester City, and you're well within your rights to
That's
get
so
that
valid.
started. Let me ask you, Munchie, is it okay then? Because the conversation we've just had, is it okay then for us to question these referees whether or not a bit of match fixing is going on, or if not, should the Premier League implement the referees coming out themselves and explaining these decisions to us?
Well, I remember it was last year or a couple of shows ago, or last season when we were on the show. I was saying like we should, if it was a case like basketball, it
Mhm.
would be better. You know, like when in basketball, when a referee makes a decision, You hear him go on the speaker and he says,
Oh yeah,
"What
yeah, yeah.
happened?
Mm-hmm,
Number
mm-hmm. Right,
23
right.
did this and did that. Now two technical fouls. You know,
Yeah.
if it was a case like that, I think it'll be better because some of these referees they make the decision as you guys say, and it's like, hey, me control again. Ever me say go, but
Right.
the fans and the players need to know like why and how, right? With the some of these referees now is after the game they come out with some bogey comments or some bogey explanations, some bogey excuse. Like, no, let us hear why you made that decision there and then. So now we can know, like,
Yeah.
okay,
That's the
going forward
rationale.
in that game or going forward in future games, we'll know, hey, okay, this is the president they set based on this game and what and with what this referee said. So let's lean towards that, right?
But then
It will
I guess
change.
this is what Joe is saying. Go ahead, Jamal.
I said it'll change from game to game because not every referee is the same, and
True.
Right.
not
I
they.
think that's what Joe was
Yeah.
saying. It's switching up.
Yeah,
But the
it
thing
is.
is, they're switching up, and this one's back to as Joe was saying again, like maybe officiating nowadays is based on feelings because there's a FIFA rule book, and if we're not going by the rule book, like, and we're going by a referee's feelings, like that's not the game.
Fucks.
And
I
every
mean,
Yo,
and
but
then
every year,
for
every
example,
2 months, the FIFA implement a new rule or change a new rule.
Mhm.
So let's go by the
yeah.
rule book. The rule book say if a player impedes a next player in the 18-yard box, it's a penalty. Then you're gonna come tell me, oh, the player big toe wasn't in
Clear
a
about the
90,
finale.
90-degree angle, so there's no way he could have touched it. No, the
Yeah,
book says
fucks.
once he impedes the player in the box, it's a foul,
It's
and
a
any foul
so it's
in
a
the box
penalty.
is a penalty.
So
So
let me ask you then,
those,
guys.
that's the
The
guidelines
Salah,
we're following.
the build up there with Salah, the ball hit Salah's hand. I know Moy was debating it, but I think that the rule clearly says that that goal should have stood. Are we all in agreement with that?
Shaq, last season it would not have stood though.
Yeah, right, right. They
Yeah.
changed the rules coming into this
Um,
season.
I don't think it's well. Had they reviewed it, well, you see, that's the thing. I can't remember what has changed between now and then, but I feel that they would probably have called a handball in the build up to the goal. No,
Hmm.
Well,
if they
no,
had
they
reviewed it
wouldn't have
sooner.
because they,
Uh-huh.
they did review it because remember they review our goals. So then,
Okay,
because I think the rule now states I don't remember the exact wording,
Mm,
but if they deem it as an accidental handball in the
mm-hmm,
build up to the play,
mm-hmm,
they won't call it back because I think remember a game last year I think it was
mm-hmm.
versus Fulham versus somebody from one of the big teams. I think it was Manu, and the ball had hit I think it was Mitrovic or Cavaliero's hand, and it was really innocuous. He didn't really mean to do it, but it just
Mm-hmm.
chopped the goal off because last year it was just plain.
I
Once you
think it
touch
was
your hand,
against
that's it.
United. I think that was a game against
Right.
United.
And
Yeah.
they say once you touch your hand, that's it, no goal. But this year
Mhm.
now it's a bit different. They are looking to say, well, they're the ones who make the judgment whether or not they think it's accidental or not.
Mm-hmm.
okay, you
So,
guys
so,
remember the
so
game?
just on Munchie. So, Shaq, if there's a foul on the build up to the goal, for example, there's a foul. Do does VAR go back as far as the foul to review
Well,
to discard it now?
go
Depends.
ahead,
Yeah,
Jamal.
It
It
depends.
depends.
Okay.
It depends on
It
if the
depends how
pace.
far. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah, it
subjective
depends
right
if the
there.
pace. It
no,
depends
Yeah.
if
no.
the pace of
Remember,
players change.
Scott, Manu versus Tottenham when Scott put his hand in Son's face
Right.
and they had
Then
to
went
Last
tip
back
season.
and
and
took
they
it
tip
off.
a
Yes.
goal. That
Yeah,
was
but
far.
there was also a situation where the ball went out of play or something, and the goal scored, and it did not go back because it was a different phase of play. But
Yeah,
then there's
yeah.
also been situations where they stopped it and not let the game carry on. I think it was a game with Arsenal as well, where they stopped it and went
Mhm.
for a penalty and not let the game go on. So that
Right.
like
Mhm.
Versus United.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it really depends on who's in the VAR box and who's on the field.
And this is why as fans we
And
can't really understand what's
that's
going
the
on.
issue. Because if you're all one body, I mean,
Yeah,
even if you know your decisions, all your decisions won't be exactly the same. There should be some sort of uniformity in the way decisions are made and the way these
yep.
calls are made. But there's none. It's like everybody comes in and yo, here what? Last week Arteta give me some big talk. So yeah, I can deal with it today. You know
It
that makes
feels like that, Joe.
no, it feels like that for real. And
It
that makes no
feels like
sense to
that.
me. Because then I've seen games where sometimes it seems blatant, where okay, you'll see a case where maybe the players are there's a call and the players don't get the call and they all swarm the referee and get around him and start shouting at him or whatever. He gives somebody a yellow card, and then after that, that man could have kicked you in head, the boy now bleed whistle. And then I'm like, wait, that makes no sense. It doesn't. And
Yep.
then to go back, you see what Munchie was talking about with the whole like basketball where they go there to the review, then they come
Yeah.
at the mic and say, hey, it's going to be a technical foul on LeBron because yada yada yada, and this was deemed da da da. The thing with that, right? What I think we need to keep away from is too many things that kill the flow of the
The
game.
tempo of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, because that can affect both teams for one.
Of course.
Because the minute you kill a tempo, the team that has the better tempo, you're basically in a sense allowing them to lose
Like a
that tempo and
timeout.
allowing the
Yeah.
other team to,
Teams come and
get back
catch a
into
breath
the
and come
game.
into the game. Yeah.
Yeah, to get back into the game. And then not just that, as a fan,
It's
that,
not
that
really.
becomes annoying.
Yeah.
And it's not
We
enjoyable.
want
And,
what.
yeah, and all
Mm-hmm.
of that will pop. All of that will over time probably start to lower the ratings for football.
Yeah.
So, these are all the things you need to take into consideration. I just think
Because
that, the way I look at it right now, this is how I look at it right now. Get rid of the referee in them and just use VAR. And if VAR say offside, offside. Moving right along. Just use the technology. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't really
Get
do
rid
that
of
one yet. Go
no,
ahead,
get rid of
more.
no,
it.
no. No, because I was saying and all. With that whole
Yeah, come to you,
situation,
Montreal.
I think they would avoid putting all this limelight on the referees also, because you're going to look to them like, okay, what's the exact call? And I don't think they really want to put all the pressure on a referee like that to be like, okay, he kicked he
Yeah.
kicked the ball,
Teams
that's why
up.
it kicked the man, that's why it's a foul, this and that.
So,
So I think they're running from all of that thing and so.
No, he could just show out with that half and then can't officiate. And that's the problem.
competence. Go
That's
ahead,
what it
Munch.
is.
Yeah. I don't know have a big up city and everything. So in all of this now, I ever see when VAR just came out, yes, a couple City fans bickering, yeah, because he just come out and he just. But lately, every City fans come out and talk about VAR like that. Because listen,
Because
as
you
a
don't want
band
to get
listener,
fouled.
just bang people. When you bang people,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, none. If VAR mess up one thing, that just one down.
Newcastle would say
Make
differently
it
though.
done.
Newcastle would say
Please.
differently because you say bang them, but then that could have been 1-1.
Wolves would say
But then
differently
still get
too.
blow.
Wolves would
That's
say
the
No, but
differently.
then goal
That
changes
changes the
game.
game. It changes the
We
game.
know
Yeah,
this.
goal changes
Exactly.
game. But,
Changes
but
the
when
game.
you have
Edison head
when you have
card
a
there
team like
changes the
City,
game.
Thank
hard.
you. Thank you. Edison
It
red
changes
card changes that game.
It
The game
changes the
against
game completely.
Wolves,
Man.
the game against Wolves, if that's not a penalty, maybe y'all lose, drop that extra 2 points and draw the game. All
Joe,
these
who passed
things.
the little while?
So it makes a difference, eh?
Stop trying to change the
Sorry,
subject.
I'm
sorry,
gonna
sorry.
pass it go ahead.
But seriously, yeah, Monchi, I understand you're trying to banter. I get that. But then let me speak for me because it has happened for Arsenal. You feel aggrieved watching that because you know what? You watch another game. Let's say Arsenal play at 10. Then you watch the 12:30 kickoff, and the same thing that you didn't get the call for, like what Joe was saying, they get the call it in the other game. And we're like, yo, what is that? That's why you can't continue. But although, yeah, you can still
You know
knock
what?
people 5-6.
Yeah, just
You know
bang
what also
people.
annoys me? That this handball rule. You see, like for Salah handball, next year we're going to be looking at a different rule. because I swear it's every year they change it, and then the
They're
same thing
trying
could
to.
happen. Then
Yeah,
they was like, okay, that's going to be a handball. Because I think it was what, the City versus Dortmund game in the Champions League, when I think it
yeah.
was Kano's trying to play the ball unintentionally hit his hand and they called it. Then the next year they change the rule. I mean, they need to make up their minds, man.
Yeah, even with the Manu Chelsea game with Callum Hudson-Odoi and Greenwood. Remember that
Yeah,
game?
last season. Yeah.
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 If that was this season, that would have been a penalty.
Well, that's why we're sitting here. That's why we're discussing it. Some needs to happen. The last thing we're talking about, guys, we got a couple minutes, 2 minutes to talk about this. Jamal, Tottenham is out of the Europa League, Europa Conference League. Don't even really know. And like Joe was saying this morning, I'm glad you're here. What was that? What was that famous line, Joe?
Tottenham get battered even when they don't go.
That's tomorrow's headline.
Yo, like see, Jamal, before you answer and explain to us what really happened, you realize Tottenham just forfeit the only trophy they could have possibly won this season. Like they're really trying not to win trophies.
This is the first time I actually hear a team get far. And maybe
Yeah.
not, but maybe just
If
watch
you like,
football.
if you like Tottenham, rage quit, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
That would have been their first trophy in what, 15 or 16 years or something?
It's been a while.
Tottenham
It's in the last
doing
one.
Carabao.
That's
Antonio
crazy,
Conte
fam.
with us.
Jamal, what happened?
So, Tottenham got COVID on the last last game of the group stage in which they were supposed to play. I forgot what
Rennes?
team it was.
I
Yeah,
think
they were
it's
supposed to play Rennes, and if they beat Rennes, then they would have gone through. And if they lost, then Vitesse would have gone ahead of them in the group stages. And then they were given a deadline by UEFA to find a suitable date to play the game before the end of December. I'm not sure why the end of December was given because January is still there, but I'm sure it's something to deal with the fiscal year and things like that. In UEFA standing, therefore UEFA gave them that deadline to do it, and they failed to find a suitable date due to all their other games getting postponed, and the festive period in the Premier League does not allow them to play, I guess, a certain amount of games in a certain amount of days. So they were then forced to forfeit the game 3-0, which then gave Rennes the win, which gave Vitesse the chance to go through. Which some people say it's unfortunate, some people say it is, well, not fortunate or unfortunate. Some people say it's fair, some people say it's unfair. But I'm saying, from my perspective, is if you are given a certain amount of time and a date to comply with, everything in the world works this way, is you bring out solutions to this obstacle. And you could have gone to the Premier League and said, look, we need to move some other games, which the Premier League, I'm sure, would have somehow obliged to it and fit in this game in this day. Also, let's look at this in another way. Liverpool had to play 2 or 3 years ago. Liverpool had to play 2 games in the space of 2 days.
Of 2 days.
Yeah,
In two
one in
different
the
countries.
a cup match and a game in Qatar, and they did it. Whether they
It
lost one
was
or
year before last. Yeah.
they fielded a team to play the game. So therefore, if Vitesse and Rennes went to, let's say, the body that officiates world football, then they can say, look, this is a case that happened before, and Tottenham are at fault for not playing a game, because obviously you can play a game in 2 days if you have a big enough squad. Tottenham are a Premier League team with a big enough squad to field players. So I don't see what the issue is on Tottenham's end and why they're complaining.
Okay, question.
What I'd say, sorry there. Hold on there, Moy. So
Mon,
two
keep
questions.
going.
Two questions coming from what Jamal said. I think throughout the Europa Conference League season for Tottenham, I don't think they've been using much of their first team players. So they could have sent their whatever squad they were used to using over there and finish that game. But also, do you think as though the Premier League forced their hand?
Yep.
It could have been a reason where the Premier League forced their hand and stood their ground and said we're not moving any of our games. Also due to the fact that you've had multiple games postponed due to a COVID outbreak at your facility, which they would have blamed Tottenham for not taking stringent rules before. So in the end, it boils down to Tottenham and their decision and what they did.
All right. Go ahead, Moy. Come to
Munchie.
Munchie. Okay, go ahead, Munch.
Okay.
Sorry.
Jamal said like UEFA Conference League gave Tottenham a deadline, the end of December to pick a date, right? But this is just what I'm thinking. In their defense, okay, these two, how much games I had postponed? 2 or 3, right? 2?
Prem?
Yeah, in the Prem.
3.
3, right?
3 games.
Okay, 3, right? I've been checking FootMob. Premier League hasn't released the date in which these 3 games are going to be played.
No, because they're going to be played in the new year, which is
in the new year.
Yeah, but
it has to be January.
But keep in mind today that they scrapped the second leg, the second replays for the
FA Cup.
So they scrapped it for the cup so they can accommodate for these games that these clubs are missing.
Yep.
Okay. Because well, because my point was they couldn't have given a date if Premier League didn't like release a date for the postponed games.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, Tottenham could have said, okay, we playing Liverpool Sunday. Wednesday. Let's play Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But maybe
because there's not another game until weekend.
Until Saturday.
Sunday. All the games are on Sunday.
Boxing Day. Yeah.
Boxing Day.
So I don't know why Liverpool. I don't feel sorry for Tottenham. Honestly, I don't.
I never feel sorry for Tottenham, but Moy clearly does. Go ahead, Moy.
No,
I think y'all being way too harsh here. Because we going into the Sunday game, nobody even knew the game against Liverpool was going to be played because games were being cancelled left, right, and center. Even like 10 minutes before the game is actually looking to kick off. And with this, it's not an easy time trying to fit schedule and fit this other players in because it's still a COVID period hitting, and you didn't know that Tottenham had players to cooperate into these games. So I think it's very harsh, and it was such a rash decision.
Okay, but like Jamal said, it would have been the club's fault for having not taken stringent measures prior. Quite frankly, the minute they heard that the new variant became known, they should have already begun to take the necessary measures. Why? Because we've been there and done that already. And the thing with this new variant is, while it may not be as deadly as the variants prior, it is a lot more transferable, basically. So, cause the fact that the Premier League had to come out and tell the league, hey, you need to re-implement all the emergency measures. I don't think the Premier League should have had to do that. That's common sense. I mean, and I'm talking as an Arsenal fan who has still been, playing my games, just saying.
And
So,
fan.
and he was a City fan. So.
I'd love to say that too, Joe. But that's the fun part of it. But COVID is no respecter of persons, and I don't think you can do much because yes, the players could stay in their bubble, but they have family members that go out and stuff like that, and it could be you don't have to be their family members. One of the training staff got it, and that's how we just run through the whole team. So it's a bit harsh, the statement whether or not they you don't think Tottenham took enough precaution.
I agree more in the sense that if they were put in a hard position to make a call, that much I agree. But they have sufficient resources to make a call.
I think so.
They made their call.
So
More,
okay,
more, more. Don't you
so
think?
if
That's
it
my
so wait
thing
there,
with it.
so if it was a team, see if it was a team like Leeds, would y'all be saying the same thing? Because I don't think so.
My premise is based on the fact that I don't think they have been using much of their first team players
In the conference league,
in the
right?
conference league. And just like we saying, they played on Sunday. They could play this game on Thursday because
Or even Wednesday.
if it was regular if it was a regular scheduled game, it would still be Thursday Sunday.
Thursday, Sunday,
So
yeah.
it would be it's fine. The first team players could still go and play, and then come back and play again on Sunday,
So
Thursday,
wait,
Sunday.
Yeah, but then but then
where
you're
was
looking
this
at it,
game?
it's probably not even a Tottenham's fault
I think it went.
on a whole because two of them still needed to come to a conclusion on when a right date could have been.
Yeah, but
They
then
say
that
that
doesn't
Where
Rangers
was
really
this
couldn't
game
agree
going
to
to
what
play?
they had.
England or France?
France, I believe.
Rennes is what was that?
Where is
Yeah,
that game
where was the
supposed to
game
be
going to
played?
be played?
In Rennes?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a
probably
good question.
No,
from
it's England, Tottenham.
Are you kidding
Wow.
me,
Oh
man?
yeah,
Come
the
on,
home
even
game.
worse.
Are you
Even
kidding me,
worse,
man?
boy.
Well,
hey.
Come on,
that's it.
boy.
I know no sorry them
There you have
boy.
it.
But it
You
would
know
have
Saturday
been
boy.
the same thing I would be them insane if it was City, United, any team. It's
The boy, the
harsh
man
and
could
it's
have wake
pretty
up and
ridiculous.
put on a shot and go run ball.
No more, but my
Exactly.
thing is right. It's like Jamal
Okay,
is
so
saying.
that's why Arsenal played their game when it started. So I don't want to hear no complaining from you all that.
Exactly, and we have
Exactly.
listen, we have not complained. No, we went,
Y'all
we
complain
got
because
our
y'all been
behinds.
complaining about this season. Why the games can't be stopped?
No,
Y'all
it
complain.
would be no,
I
Exactly,
no,
hear
that's
y'all
not
on
the
the show
complaint.
complaining,
Moy,
especially
That's not the
Moy,
Shot.
but
complaint.
Bro, why
listen,
these games
no,
playing?
but
Why this
listen,
that
Moy,
playing? You have been doing
listen,
That
it.
is not the
listen to
complaint.
what
I'm
we've listen to
asking.
what we've been complaining about. We've been complaining about the fact that we had ours called off, but we didn't get ours
Didn't.
called off, but other people are getting theirs. We played, right?
From the
We
same
lost.
team.
We had no. We said, okay, we lost. No excuses. Everybody was like, oh, it's just Brentford and this and that and all of this, right? Cool. Now my
Like, all
thing
right.
is, it's fine. We already did it, but no, why is it for the other teams the games are getting called off? That's the issue. Because bearing in mind, now, one of the first things Jamal said when he spoke about it this morning, no, is not just because it's a Tottenham thing, no. He said that he think it's something that should go across the board for everyone. And that's my
Yeah.
thing. What goes for one needs to go for all. And Tottenham
Yeah.
have a big enough team that they should have been able to
Mhm.
put a squad together to play the game. And then rather worse too, Rennes
They
is
don't
the
have to
traveling
travel.
squad. So
And you know, it goes back. It goes back to what I was saying. If it was Leeds, I don't think y'all would have been saying the same thing. Because I think even self earlier on the show, you, the comparison was being made between Chelsea and some other team. If it was a lesser team, y'all wouldn't be making this
But I,
comparison.
I would say the same thing because when you look at the dates in between, I think there's enough time this week. If they had a midweek game, I think Tottenham is now in the cup, in the Carabao
They
Cup.
have a game to play. They have a game to play on Wednesday.
Well, that changes things then.
Well, you
That
see, that's
changes.
the other thing I'm aiming at too, because I mean, okay, we sitting here arguing, I'm not for it, y'all. See the reason why it is. But then we clearly don't know the reason if it's clearly leaning both like it's a Tottenham's fault. But I thinking it's kind of like because Tottenham is probably trying to fit it there, but then you have to find it the ideal time to play, and then you have to probably go to the Premier League to see if they can probably fit a schedule right there.
Coming down,
And
right.
I think even self before soon as the Conference League said that they had to find it by December 31st. I think it was already being processed that they would have forfeited this game, especially with all these backup games and COVID
Yeah.
hitting them at that point.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why they gave them a deadline of December 31st because the competition doesn't start back till mid-February again. So playing one game is not an issue like throughout the whole of January. So I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure
All
why.
right. Mitchell is saying, nice to join us. Tottenham can never step to Liverpool under normal circumstances. People are smoking too much. All
Because
right.
last thing on this, my initial thoughts when I heard it that it was because of the draw, and the draw is going to be happening in December. So that's probably why they would have gotten it, tried to get it rid of it so quickly. Then these games are not being played till like February.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
that's what I'm saying. They could do it like how they do the cup draws. The winner of
For the two
a
teams,
game
right?
will
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
Put them
Tottenham
all on
slash
paper, innit?
the Taps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So
I
I
mean,
Right.
don't
it's a
understand why
crazy
UEFA call it.
situation. It is
Yeah, I
really
don't
and truly.
understand why UEFA did it.
Well, like you say,
Non-sorry
it's
day.
top. It's
You
top
know,
now.
say, non-sorry day. Right now, right? Me stop play nice. Cause nobody had no niceness in them when you come to Arsenal. So right now, I
Agenda.
love nobody. Yeah? No sorry day.
Agenda, yo. Agenda. Top don't
All
get
right.
battered. Even
Even
when
when
they
they do.
All right, guys. Nice of you to join us. I think we should be back, God willing, on Thursday evening to preview the Boxing Day games. We heard that they're going to go through. So, barring any other, COVID outbreak, we should be able to be back to preview those games. Thank you again, Chicago Moy Santa, the Yabai Santa hat. Thanks again, Moy. Thank you, Jamal. At the top is just us, Young Guns Blazing. And my brother over here, he's singing the blues right now because his team can't buy away. So let's see what happens when we preview those games on Thursday. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys again.
Thank you for watching Island Fans. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when there are new videos and updates. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and like us on Facebook. Island Fans, for the passion of the game.